Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Let me put on headset to see if you could hear me.
Live stream ready.
No.
Maybe if Drupon is this, it's gonna be here better. I could try, but it's too far.
But this is iPad, it's not gonna work for us.
Yeah, it's
This
work.
is different.
Oh, okay.
Welcome everyone. We will start today's section with prayer book. Ina.
Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma, of the greater and lesser vehicles, and the teachings common to both, according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings. Thế đấy nhờ thế nhờ đâu bây giờ bữa tôi chơi tao nói tiếng này nhờ cái cái bắt chân bữa tôi
tham cái tukje shade re thong shin chen na ro tukje pong yo we se chen thong phoda por chi de shade de lu chaba cha an la tukje chama de lu na ro thong mar ban ma chi ji pho mo chu wa ja ban de ka ju la ma na la sor ban de sa nei je bo sa chong la ma le sang ke chi de se na na ro wa ko na phen ban si ba ye ban da a de sha la sor ban de ta ja de sang chu ma to ba ji ba de che sam je nyam na de shong de chang chu sim chong chong ma chang chu sim je xian dong chi ba de shuo je wa gun de yang da na ma dan de mi chu je be la no chu na sa thang la ye yo ta ra bo na to jian chang ke kong pang yo to shuo当然做个整体不同的人情况才体呢，这当他心里是的，多关系吧，心里的才体的哇。但这当心里的我做心里是的，但这当心里共产党没得有。当心里可上农科讲这没法去，现在共产可上在学习吧。真的现在点钱才这个，但是点钱才是上级管了大了，现在怎么样？上级管了我这。上级管在也不提出来，那也不的，样子管在这桩现象来呢，也不的这。我听着在其他的呢，第一个那个听了大呢，听着其他这大那是像上级管，我真的上级管他那的呢，这三松样子，他把他没关系的三松，我真的管他呢三松呢这他这做的把都可以全三松来起，当常常在南坡马步用的那在嘛修持的是从长的。这三松，然后在尼库亚它在青木中嘛，它就用的那叫在民参中的三松。我在听出去呢，在东北国的呢，现在工厂，我听出这有的，我在这里听东北国的来讲呢，东北叔叔三句的话加小呀，来骗给的，开始呢，叔叔错只把抢给的，我听的。我听出去呢，在三万把现在点钱才，我打听出去，我们要在有吧。
Then we continue the teachings from yesterday on the Udumvara blossom. We have mentioned, we spoke about Shamata, calm abiding yesterday, and there is all kinds of different methods, different ways of practicing meditating on Shamata, calm abiding. So yesterday we spoke about how we practice Shamata using our winds. And then there is also a Shamata, which is called Shamata with a support. And for that, one can, for example, use a Buddha image, like a statue, an image, a painting, and so on of a Buddha as a support. So if you have an image, a painting that is painted well, or if it's like a material statue, for example, made of a metal or wood and so on, that is made well, then you can use that as a support to focus your mind. And you can use that to focus your attention on that Buddha statue. And so if you are in a kind of even state, you can, for example, focus more on the heart level of that Buddha. Sometimes when many thoughts arise, you can lower your focus to the seat of the Buddha, the throne. And sometimes when you feel sleepy and a little dull, then you can direct your focus to the point between the Buddha's eyebrows, a bit higher. And so this is a way to practice shamatha with a support, using a Buddha image as a support. And that's actually also beneficial for placing a good imprint of the Buddha into your mind stream. And so in this way, not only are you practicing shamatha, but you're also accumulating merit and you are purifying obscurations. So this is a method to practice shamatha as well, to train the mind in a non-distraction. So it is the shamatha with the support.
Then that remarks on the Yavarashiva, no drops, the same Yavarashiva, no drop ease, spiritual ease, in Bacones, Danzi Dopa, they meet over. Ye method, Bomi, Tujitroba, Rancheso, Romo Junchi, maybe. Lankefa, the any Servayan you test. What a method Ranjita, future but the younger stage, some Shivanate in Danzi to the part of what, Dembar Madroba. Tahako, still not that they Danzi tell them that they did the Chapamosum Chandra. But in it is that it seemed man, you are the chess on the telephone, same over the so Ranji, you don't have something down there, which trouble there. The new Hawk was one in the dark, see the dog at the pub. I may band of Kondo is, or method Ranji, you but the cooker is, the Zunko Sadi. Then he serve you on you test at the
The goat society, the Hakona, what did I?
Never Shiva, no drops, never Shiva, no drop east, and I won't see for
her. Yeah. So we are on the last page of the text, and in the second paragraph, kind of in the middle of it. And so yesterday we stopped with where we said if one understands the ground as a spontaneous pacification, a spontaneously present total pacification, since one then understands the thoughts of self-grasping to be untrue, the mind of non-conceptual, thought-free, spontaneous presence occurs on its own. Until there. So the thought-free, spontaneous presence, or the non-conceptual thought-free mind, when the mind becomes thought-free, then this is when you understand, when you realize that a self does not inherently exist. And it's because of grasping at a self that we develop all these thoughts of attachment, anger, or ignorance. And when the mind becomes a little pacified and no thoughts arise within the mind, then you realize that all the qualities are good qualities are actually inherent within your own mind, and that actually that so-called self is just a thought, and it doesn't really exist. So then it almost appears like there is no self.
That's it. It is this Guni Jubi taught the good name of Mela, then by Japan, name was Meti Kasa Chiva seat, so that's it. Document or Gonzor Mambo, they don't Mambo to get a question of shows that they don't talk Medio Pujo Chide. Document or Gonzor, Lanzi Mambo Chi, that Guni Jubi, the Mambo get a shows, the Mambo you get a what the name between the Luchina, Pento Shira, Maris, language chas, Labo, Kansas, yes, the Kansas and the data, Kaz of the Luchi, see, long.
And then it says, so thereby the unbroken continuity of coming and going is what the wise refer to as stable abiding. What benefit is there, though, in advising someone whose mind is running all over the place, chasing all sorts of thoughts, grasping itself in all sorts of ways, doubling distraction on top of distraction, and still adding more distraction on top of that? what use is there in discussion until here. So basically, there are many thoughts arising in the mind, and especially many selfish thoughts, self-grasping thoughts arising in the mind. So what, like, as long as these thoughts are present, what benefit is there in advising someone?
真的这边中国这种说，可是大人这边南方的，大人这边南方的一些人吧，他做些，一些人吧，他还各种他做些，他话老这些老的这个没，他话老这没过噻。我真的当年们天啥，他话老这没过，他们写法英明的，他们写法是那当时他的写法的，我但是他这写法在那年们去过，他们写法在就那样个写法就有了。 在南方嘛地吧，大的嘛地吧，在那他们写法是，我的光把人吧他做些，光把人吧他做些，你们用现在这个那个，我车嘛用的，让什么的，上街人吧他做些，这个现这那个中多，我当时说这是给进步，如果咱那做些，他们写法英语是，他们写法英文没吧，我提纲在桥在进步那路程了，提纲你们去过的是，在城市的时候给进步有的是，我听你是说的，但南方嘛不有呢。 Depending on it, so what that is the this so same can look that. That's an end of one thing, same can look on Yamnachina. The Yabu is raw.
Chitin Sungwin said, I have understood that the thoughts grasping at a self are actually primordial wisdom. I have no need to seek a different view elsewhere. So we're saying that this ordinary mind is what we need to practice, and nothing else. There's nothing else to be done. And so this is ordinary consciousness, meaning that ordinary consciousness is the present mind, the mind that your consciousness right now, and you have to practice with this consciousness. That consciousness is actually always there. It's the ordinary, that your normal consciousness, it's always there. And when it becomes free of thinking, of conceptuality, so then Chitin Sungwin said, and the consciousness is free of thought, and now I have understood that the consciousness free of thought, that is meditation. I have no need to seek a different practice. There's no need to seek any other meditation, anything else to practice. It is just the thought-free, ordinary consciousness that needs to be habituated. And then he said that I have now understood that my mind, from which I never separated, is actually the Buddha. So therefore, I have no need to seek a Buddha elsewhere. So when you practice without distraction, habituating the ordinary consciousness, practice Mahamudra, sustain mindfulness, and then eventually it will be realized. So if you practice, you practice well, if you practice Shamata well, and you habituate that ordinary consciousness, then eventually thoughts will not proliferate any longer, and you will come to the true nature of your mind.
这是他这种说编制工编年的，那么了，那么谈别个对我们被当嘛，西北鬼之间被他们就是，他被当嘛咋进步一些了，当嘛咋进步之间他们就是，也人都进步，小巴拉是我在经常说人都把进步对人家去投呀，就把去说了吧，对，这给别一年进步那的，生意小伙他头发没被写了我是，我在出那路就是生意是还会呀，小伙没得他写给的是。 我在写了表的，这当写了的开心不了吧？写了写的马来那种马来去的那当时去用的，对，你真的写了去的，马来把用途了，真的，当面都写了去，我真的，我这写了挺好吧？他是那么出头用这几位一年的，头人不见呢，现在那么出头，恐怕都头先给的他，这个也是那么就是那边，龙阳建筑全部呢。 透了当，是我在当马街是龙阳江说起么？在当马什么透了当，现在在啊哈个就是有了家的这些，当马江说起么？在忙不停的，差不也全部等于差不停的，啊哈个的这些，真的容易说啥了吧
And then So then, this sublime Dharma for the close disciples of the great Udumvara are the uncommon pith instructions, final words I would teach upon my death. They are my great hope and aspiration for you. You great spiritual teacher of the qualification possessing wisdom, free from this desire and unobstructed. So this wisdom, possessing wisdom, it is the, one's wisdom is actually quite important. It is because we don't have wisdom, because of ignorance, that we develop thoughts of self-grasping. And wisdom destroys ignorance. And one develops the wisdom realizing selflessness. And so that is what he's saying here, this past, you great spiritual teachers, or the masters of the past, and those masters have realized this, they possess this wisdom, free of desire and unobstructed. And then you hold the precious heart of spiritual teachers who are fully accepted by the accomplished masters. Your hearts have been filled with an ocean of teachings and pith instructions. So this ocean of pith instructions, and this ocean means that they have received and fully accomplished, actualized a vast and infinite number of pith instructions, of essential instructions. So not only have they understood them, but it actually has, these instructions have actually taken birth within their mind streams.
So this also due to Yams Nago, Dama Sabo, that they you say Lamek E or Mambo Karmago Sabo United, should have hanged mother. So those Yam Hago. They chant a shant and the large door. Menchi Lava Zandy, and never tell them against. I never do Yashu, they won't maybe to the Chama, Lord, touch on a man, the son and Pengari, man, the son and Pengari, that they love should be Chama, they love Chama. Never can watch it. I young Marata, they go to Yaman, take it. Man, Yomara, Matty Yomara. Magic law, they think about it, so never thought. Man say, man, Yomara, or then it done about the child when a man saw what for him. Didn't need to talk one need man to saw with him. Maybe Lord, they think prank about money. Or then Sabi Dama and Bochi, to some dear companies, or Sabi truly subject Saba, some more is. So don't touch you some more Sam as I said, that's also Yamnachi go. Yamnachi, this was far going. They got that was Sabo easy, the Jibu and Rigmar, Carisana. They Kalanda say Saguna, Kalatala, Tambo Shimbo Domo, the Sagra, Shatan, Mazuna Kalati, they parted Shimbona, Shimbo Kajuna, Shimbo, you mean Shima Washa, so Sana, then I got to Dama, Sabo in Yamnachi go for it. Mato they get the Dama, the Zarchimbo, they shall Jibu, Pegmares, Dama and Boches, to some dear companies. What that is some dear companies, and that is something some compares. Or the Malari is on you much Jerry Galada, that Jerry got something about school. But then you get some more God and gave in Yamon Lotto in Sonshura, Conchina. God and gave in the Yamon to Lottories. What is on Malari, you might say Jerry Galad, that's on what Jerry got. God to some Jerry compares, there's no Jerry companies. One day Lama is Shinganes, then Lama Bochi Shinganes. There is only a Pomoch wasn't the token Chuma this, that token Chuma is. Or that token included all this. Labor Dambi, the lobbies, or that labor damshall, dams and that damat, dams and that's what is that dams and that you know, Yamna Yabo cheese at which are Yamna Yabo cheese. What that is, what the Dambas, you know, what to do now is Dambas or Dambat last. Or that could depend by Majonas, the Yamnachi depend by Majona, to some Java and cheeses. Dachanamla. Living what to don't Java and cheese. Not on worship what I want to on those in I'm not to Yamnat for Yapochi Mato now. These are Gallic for your. But then that's Sanjiki Zombana, I to cheat on my thing. Yamnachi at least don't you go for it. 존주자 마지테데 되고 아카레 시시시수 그세 디시시 되는 존주 만나데 요상 냠나테 리미시라 스토트 말와 어디 뒤도 어디 가서 존주 유전 있고 다 그 메시 공부로 메시 뭐 세라 탐지 상마지 봐 공부로 어디 이나데 그 소소소 냠나테 제 존재다 통거리 그냥 가서 다 제 토마미 베키 주네 다들 녀모 제가 다들 당지다제 여러 가지 방향을 깔려서 보이더래. 어제 뒤에 알아서 세. 그 뒤에서 우연히 가디 컨트롤 공부를 맞sam하게 뒤에서 디스 공부를 하는 상태죠. 어제 뒤에서 여기 컨트롤 냠나치 해야 돼. 그거는 설마 개침 보여래서. 들이만 동샤야 한다. 지지. 루바미 베 제르가 스타루바미 베 제르가 스타루바미 베 제르가 스타루바 산지기도 송데 너바요 말 제바는 산지라 산지 송데 너데요 말고 산지기 송 멤버들 제단 산지기 송 나나다 지나서 가서 냠냐치데 하고 그래 송쇼로 어디 제르가 제시 남지 토라쇼 내天 친구 냠스나 소다 지나서 토르쇼도 내天 친구 진짜 냠스 내가 그래 송도 나한테 지금 주사 용어 안 됐어.
So then, let's see. So as close disciples of the glorious Great Udumvara, I request you to practice in this way, just as you have been taught. If you fail to practice in this way, just as you have been taught, it is like merely reading about medical treatments, hoping to benefit the sick. So just having received and understood all of these instructions alone is of no benefit. To really to grasp the profundity, the depth of these instructions, one has to actually practice them. So only when you practice them will you fathom how profound the instructions really are. So the main point is not knowing them, is really to practice them. For example, it is just like a sick person failing to follow the instructions of the doctor. So if the sick person, if you have a bit of an unruly, naughty sick person who doesn't want to listen, and you keep telling them, the doctor keeps telling them, eat the medicine over and over again, is of no benefit. There's no benefit in the doctor kind of reciting, reading to the sick person about the treatment and how he should eat the medicine. If he doesn't eat it, then he's not going to get better. Only if he eats it, he will get better from the disease. So the doctor cannot help him any further. And so it's very similar to that, with actually putting into practice the instructions that we have received. And then these precious, profound pith instructions, which are the enlightened intent of the victorious ones of the 3 times, are the overflowing heart essence elixir straight from the mouth of the glorious precious one. So here says that all the teachings of these teachings are the quintessence of the enlightened intent of all the Buddhas of the 3 times. But mainly you have to practice them. Then they will become profound to you. Then you will really understand their inner meaning. There is no point in just saying, it's not enough to just say, oh, they are so profound, the teachings are so profound. For example, when you're eating food, if you have some food and you wonder whether it tastes good or not, the only way to find out is actually to eat it. If you don't eat it, you will never know if it tastes good or not, no matter how it looks. And so similarly, an instruction that you can say it is very profound, but it really becomes only profound when you experience it through your own practice. And so now he's saying that, so this is the enlightened intent of all the Buddhas of the 3 times. So Jigten Somgyal said that his guru, Pabmo is the precious one here. So the elixir straight from the mouth of the precious one, a glorious precious one, is his guru Pamodrupa, from whom he had received his quintessential instructions, which are the essence of all the Buddha's enlightened intent. And also Milarepa had said that whatever I speak or practice, it must be supported by the intent of the Buddhas of the 3 times. And Chikten Sumgön said something similar in the Gongchik. He said, if whatever instruction, if it does not conform with the actual words of the Buddha, it will only lead to wrong views, only a wrong view. So therefore, then he says, if putting these clear instructions into practice does not bring benefit, then it is certain all the Buddhas of the 3 times have deceived us. So these clear instructions, the essential instruction, practice them well. This is his instruction here. If you don't practice them, then there is no benefit. So sometimes also, if, like it says here, if putting it into practice doesn't bring benefit, so like even though we practice it, it doesn't bring benefit. So how is that? It is that we do sometimes practice, but it's actually quite difficult for us to practice precisely according to the Buddha's teachings, because the practice according to the Buddha's teachings requires a lot of diligence. And we are not so diligent. So we practice, but we also we put it off a little bit. We practice slowly, a little bit here and there, and just don't have enough diligence. And then we sometimes completely give up practice again. And so if we practice like that, then we will never really complete the practice in the end. And so how we should see practice, how long we practice, is we always practice. Our entire life, actually, until we attain enlightenment. We have to continuously practice until we attain enlightenment. And that's very difficult, because since beginningless time until now, we have habituated to afflictive emotions and self-grasping. It's very difficult to just let them go. But you just do the best you can. Whenever you have time, practice some. Of course, nowadays people are very busy and we don't have so much time, but just do your best whenever you have time, and just make it an important thing to do, that you practice at that time. And then it says, keep the words of the undeceiving victorious ones in your heart, O noble ones, and earnestly put them into practice. So the undeceiving victorious ones is that the Buddha's words are undeceiving. The Buddha's words are never mistaken. They are truthful. And the Buddha himself said, you will know that when you practice them. And so therefore he said, and keep this, and please bear this in mind, and practice with diligence. So earnestly put these instructions into practice. So.
Chitante Yungkonga, Chinatri, Jimala, Yanam Setra, show those are. They show the Gadam Combat Usare. Or the Gombati Kinana, that's a gay talo says it, Loton said in your side. Or do you do that console Talo Servajeton, Loton Servasini.
Aloton,
Korani, Tatashun, the Konis, that console Chodorchi. The Malarifa, the Yabushirama, Skunyo, Jobanda, Joba, Conjuma, Chidonia. Coachun, young tower in the man, Hamostra. Namujon, this mobile go call down those book. They are one of those, like about boot one of those. The boot one of those, the boot down, Chahogan, boot down, what's over it. They didn't also go by Dado, Chawa Zombro, the Zoba, they go Conan Lavia, my what's out of the Conan Bundo Gris. Let do Laris, Conan Chodorchi. At the Chavazon down, it's Conan was not in a Chava Chasu. They're consummable. They're consummable. The Rechung gone Malari and Jehas or Chis, the Hures. Shade should do Malari Rechung Yachida, I mean, Jeha Dango and Magona, Jizumala the Hures. Or Jizumalakia, Jeha Dansho, Marie, Simtian, Simtian Ton, Tana, Limore, Regina, Simtian Panton, Chis, and Goya Dansho on the one. Get a lap, Simtian Panton, Panto, get to Chis lapsons. Goya Dansho on the one. 这工作要送啥的，这工作呢自己在学习的在路，才没那边怕在外兄弟婆在学习的在路。真的学习的在路，真的没那边学习同时对他东巴了，都这吧，尽量把种我把这种罗其实特别这样这呢，在我说你怕进步，我把这种罗其实老的是，真的空这吧不的，我东巴我说这吧。那把状态这样子的，所以我把经常这个是没进这个，就牛逼就把提的，我把开始以后就得老的是。
How to learn工作？
工作他就让我那现在特别讲没就见把啥，就把从嘛牛逼就把这记得了噻，就我把我那个别想的看下写个嘛的就开始有是老的是，我说我把经常这个没进这个是老的是。没来这边其他我把这其实我自己老了吧。所以这里工作上我是东把那把装他这样的意思，这把那把装这样的意思，我把其他这个没进这个就别讲的写个嘛，用把这样就，但没就啥个呢，没法看我是，这老的是。他这经常这是旁部。
So there's a song of Milarepa I want to share, and that was when Milarepa stayed at Nyanam, close to Kadampa Monastery, and at that monastery there were two of the best geishas, geisha Dalo and Lodun, and so Milarepa was in the area, and so the two geishas had a discussion about what to do. They came together to kind of figure out what to do about Milarepa, because they didn't feel it was a good idea for Milarepa to be in that area, because they found his conduct to be quite unconventional and crazy, and they felt that he doesn't really know the Dharma and that he's just cheating and deceiving the people of this area. So they tried to find a skillful kind of sneaky way to make him go away. But then it wouldn't look so good if they would just like kick him out of the area. That would be quite embarrassing for them. So they tried to find some kind of more skillful, sneaky way to make him go away. So they decided they're going to debate him, and they're going to send their best 3 monks to debate him. And they thought that then he will definitely be embarrassed and will leave on his own. So the best 3 monks were sent. And so first they arrived and they asked Rejungpa for an audience with Milarepa. And Rejungpa first consulted with Milarepa, and he already had a feeling that they are up to no good. So he told Milarepa that maybe better not let them come. But then Milarepa said, let them come, ask them in, because my Guru Marpa told me that I must welcome all sentient beings, even like a monster and so on, all kinds of beings. So I need to talk to all of them, let them come. So then they came, and Milarepa was just having his breakfast. They finished together the breakfast. And then at the end of the breakfast, Milarepa then said to them, so if, since you are 3 great teachers, you must have great faith. So please speak your dedication prayers at the end of the breakfast. And so then they said that, well, we don't have no need to dedicate anything. For what? Of course, we are 3 monks who possess the 3 higher trainings, but here we are with you, who's a complete madman, whose activities are totally crazy. You don't even know the scriptures. What's the point in making any dedications here? So that's what they said. So then the first thing of that I need what all parts like 3/3. So 1/3 is the practice of 1 of the visualization. The second third is my practice of the drops, and the third is the practice of Mahamudra. Just within that state of the Yidam, channels, winds and drops, and the Dharma of emptiness, within the state of emptiness. If you practice in this way, then being your host today will not become a waste.
Then the control then that you Yidam Jelen Gom Jagat to some Hako is young. Hamago let you can do gum show they do Yidam Jelen the new gum show sell out. The dang is an but the Chavazum for the Chavazomira control you the Yidam Jelen Gomna Gom Shego is can do gum show sell out. Salon Gomna can do gum show Gom Shego is Chavago can do gum, which one she may ask. Or the Lara, the Malaribeda, Yidam Jen and the Rugum Yos, the Lara, that is that I'm Malandis. It's an until and the Rugum shows as a loud thing in Martin. Salon Kiddies. No, the Zondon, or the down Gorge, Jima, Kazan Lama, or thing, Kazan Yama, don't I invited a Gorge, and that's Jake, Zanon Sports, and don't summer.
So anyways, those 3 monks, I said that. So if you tell us to practice the Yidam, first you have to be able to say how. You have to know how to practice the Yidam. You have to know how to practice the chants, winds and drops, and how to practice Mahamudra. You don't know anything. And so this is then where Milarepa sang 4 songs, of which one we mentioned already another day about the Guru. But so today I'm only going to mention this one song about the chants, winds and drops.
Oh, that Malaribe, that's an unfile Gomzanas, Stangazanufi Gomnas, Zazomozom Coloshes, that's Azomozom Coloshes. That's Azomozom Sena, that Uma, Yama, Roma Zomozom. Or that's a Rugum show, that's somewhat sometimes Coloshes, that they were doing colors, Lavera, they were doing colors, they were doing color, that's and that took you to the Lavera, the Kando Marochi. Or then you got choosing color, that's Kando Agarbori, that's Zanda G. Or the Dimba Lonchum color, that's and Judo, the Kando Marochi. You were the Chanko, that's and Terry Sumsoni, or the Kando Yanchi, or the Jama, the Tango, Chingo, no Marochin, and actually Jama, Umat, Jama, Garbori, Yong, Yeromate.
Marwa Changma is going to song.
Yeah, Tambo Omat, Tambo Omat, Chingo, now Maranda Chinadi, or then Niba Roma, the Maro Yemochi, Zumba Jamate, Yongochi, Garochi, or then that Omat, Chikon, the Zani was so the G. Rochani for the David was sourced in the part of women on Twitter. Jiwoli Chotinal so get she. Or Tenduna was some not on way for that. Then that is not Deva doing colors and not doing colors. Yeah, the Tambo Lupo Chong. That's it. So David's at the church. They were doing colors sexually. That Nika choosing colors and not the same that nature is. Then you got choosing colors. Brimba Lonchum colors at the Sasaya, don't out to the stitch. Then Brimba Lonchum colors. Or that you were the Chancolos and not you were the Chancolos carries another haunt nature, a hunger what the Chancho simple on you, what is the nature, you were the Chancolos, or that's in Lavera, or that's a Zomo Coloshes, or that was a Ladimian.
And so he began the song by saying, when I meditate on the channels, winds and drops, and so on. So first of all, what are these? Yeah. so we have the 3 main channels and the 4 chakras. The 3 main channels are the central channel and the left and the right channel, so the Roma and the Gyama. And then the 4 chakras are at the navel. You have the emanation chakra, emanation wheel. And here you have 64 subsidiary channels, and the chakra is red in color. Then at the heart is the Dharma chakra that has 8 subsidiary channels and is white in color. And at the throat is the enjoyment chakra, which has 16 subsidiary channels and is red in color. And at the crown is the great bliss chakra with 32 subsidiary channels, and it is green in color. And then the 3 channels. So the central channel is blue on the outside and red on the inside. And then the right Roma channel is red in color, and the left Gyama channel is white in color. Then the central channel extends from the secret chakra all the way up to the crown chakra. And the left and the right channels run parallel to the central channel. So they curl through at the nose, and then they go down to 4 finger width below the navel, where they converge together with the central channel into the central channel. So then first the navel, the emanation chakra is called emanation chakra because it is said that first our body is created from the navel. This is where our body originates from. So we emanated from the navel. So that's why the emanation chakra. Then second, the Dharma chakra at the heart is called that because it is said that this is where the mind abides. And then the enjoyment chakra at the throat is called enjoyment chakra because through the throat chakra we perform the activities of eating and drinking and so on, so enjoyment. And at the crown, the great bliss chakra, because at the crown there is the hum syllable, white hum syllable, and the nature of it is bodhicitta, and the nature of that is great bliss. So that is why great bliss is the crown chakra. So these are the 3 main channels and the 4 chakras. Then the navel chakra, the channels at the navel chakra, they are slightly like tilted upwards, so kind of bent upwards, like warped. And then the channels at the heart chakra are slightly bent or kind of tilted downwards, or warped downwards. And the channels at the throat chakra and at the crown chakra again bent downwards.
Come you get up manga says what else come you get up manga says and that Jiwor hump that that they will actually euro or think about it and come you get the taba sentence that Madawi called Zik then come down love you Tavi Chalatin you come to love you then come you get up manga says manga that's the 어때 정도 어때 당가서 냠내다 제 진행이나 다들이 나오 이용 말롱지네 들어장니 보주 손네 근데 다다 대외 아시잖아 다롱 포스트에 근데 미빠지네 그런 유능고 지도지 다도 못 사나 다들이 조금나 컴퓨터에 다 쇼침보기라 맞이들 다 쇼침보지나 라고 용 쇼충충 지미빠서 미빠치고 쇼 그렇지 전에 다녀나 치고 쇼레스
Then Milarepa said, then when I visualize my body as the Yidam deity, I realize that all appearance lack inherent existence, and realizing that appearances lack inherent existence, I free myself of clinging to ordinary form. So for example, if I visualize my body as Vajrayogini, then I realize that the ordinary body lacks any true existence. So I free myself of the attachment to the body, the ordinary form, realizing that the body is an empty appearance. In a different song, Milarepa also said that when I meditate on the Yidam deity, I realize that the body is empty appearance, just like a rainbow in the sky, that is insubstantial, ungraspable, and therefore there is no attachment. Attachment naturally subsides, and the pure elements become luminous, meaning that so the elements here, now we have at the crown, we have the element or the syllable. The syllable is the element, so the syllable hum. And at the navel, we have the ashe. So we have the red and the white elements. From an impure perspective, these are the ordinary drops, or the ordinary material elements. And then when they become pure, they are the subtle elements of primordial wisdom. So therefore, when the elements or the syllables become purified, then clarity becomes luminous. So we practice this. We inhale the air through the left and the right nostrils. So the air goes down through the left and the right channels, the Roma and the Gyangma channel, goes down to the ashe at the navel, and then touches upon the ashe. And then when we practice Domo, we would then retain the winds for some time at that navel. But for us, it's better if we don't hold the winds too strongly. That would not be so good. What's more important, mainly you should focus on the visualization.
미국에서 시골에 서로 전에 다 통랑제 통만 노르바미 저한테는 다 냠내들이 총대다 노르바미 정도 할 거냐 저 내로 저도 오냐 저 노르바미 다 통랑제 통만 노르바미 롱드데 조네 니트뉴스 롱드데 센 다동도 어메나 저주 주탑치네 니 냠내한테 치쇼스다 저한테 다리 게 쉬면 롱 저한테 다다디 아시트로 메나 나자 어메나 요라 트라라 파미 파티디 롱 오마추야 我这偏学的，这样的，我真正弄对的群呢，你群的是，看不看把人破现金，我真就你们俩去的大家行业的还是制作定的现金红个的是，我在你们俩去的对，我真就中学啥的。
能阿是看得清楚的。
现金个的是，那现在把做错误的是了的，但这帮但没把的把的没有了，他提起来了嘛，我但可能你现金红个的是哪上去？
Me para la cámara.
Me dista me zo te mi patara chi me ya sa zo zo mi pachi go resro. O te chin de.
Sabo
O
ma
te chi
cha
de ne. Ma zo yu be sam no da zo ma cha na cha ma cha ge chen ma zo zo nyam na chang bo chi de ne be zo yu za chun chang me na ma chi ya ma da sim te chi de ne kam kar wa ni ko te nyam na ya bo chung na ji xian ji hu de sa ka sa ta. Kam kar ni bo xian ji sa do. रवा कम कर मानी बोल ये न्याम देसे में तो तुझ चो सो तो न्याम न्यों देसे देवा तो सेवा तो मत तो रांगी न्याम न्यों तो ले हो गए वो तो और को रांगी तो रोक ना हो गए सो तो वो तो तेरा सो है
So then the rapper continues the song. So if you practice in this way, the practice is unmistaken, and you realize the nature of the mind. So he said, this is how I practiced in order to direct the winds into the central channel. So the ashe is inside the central channel at the navel level. So if you direct your winds there, then that will help for the winds to enter into the central channel where the ashe is. So if you practice in this way, then eventually through visualization, an experience of warmth will arise. So you should not think that, you should never think of coldness. You should think that it's just warm in this area. And in the end, by practicing well, like Milarepa says, you will meet face to face with the true nature of the Ham and the Ashe. And then he continues, and then the experiences of bliss, clarity, and non-conceptuality will naturally arise. And things will be realized to naturally possess no inherent existence.
dene lo tesom kendo ba ngo ske stale lo tesom kendo ba wa da te lo le ko so tesom song da ko nyamla chi yu nya yong de tesom yo ma wa si tesom kendo ba ngo ske stis ngo par case chu karu malul julande wa da chu ka zang kla sha la memba da jul de so sta ko nyamla chi de so wa da ka zang la na shira peng ma le wa da de yin de so ku jul nyamla chi da jul de so do.
So then the song continues. So then, and this is how I have released the knots of doubtful thoughts. So when you practice in this way, there will be no more doubts in the mind. Otherwise, you may speak about the Dharma, but if it doesn't mingle with the mind stream, it will only become lip service. So it's really of no benefit to just speak about the Dharma. Milarepa said, I have actually mingled my mind with the Dharma.
dene wase ke ma be je de sta wase ma be sen na ngeme ta ko shi ko wase ta da nyamnya chi de da ko hong ge fi wase ti ni po ta yar me ba ta cha sti so wase dan ta cha sa chin bo ne ro ra da ni kang bo ga so nyamnya chi ge kang da cha chen tu ko ro ta da me ko na shi de wa ri ge ni bo cha da chin bo de yo ro wa ti ni bo ta yar me ba ta je sti se wase ma be je de do si sa pe phung bo he so da do ba de zi ba chin bo yo pa pa da ga so su po de be cha hua chin bo yo re我在我做说吕布那点恰当我从忙起三就是在很的所以的起明白这咋着回来我这都是上飞碰过啥或是来的碰过咋把写是没把写是的写从那种这个这把落的那晚的东把也没了那种才可哇这的这呢落的我查是的
Then it says, and the mother and the son have merged indivisibly. So the mother luminosity is like the basis, a ground luminosity, and then the child is the path luminosity of practice. At the end, the ground they all become one, merge into one. So when you then that's when you actually realize the nature of Mahamudra, or we call it Buddha nature. So you merge indivisibly with your Buddha nature. And then Milarepa said, and then this is how all ties of attachment and grasping become released. And so normally we have our strongest attachment is our attachment to the body. It is really mainly due to the body that we develop all these thoughts of attachment, anger, and ignorance. And so then Milarepa said, then the attachment to this aggregate, this pile of aggregates falls apart or collapses. So actually, this body is just a pile or like a heap of aggregates. And that just collapses when you realize the true nature, when you realize the empty nature of appearances. And so then the song ends by him saying that thus I have found happiness in my mind.
저는 동바 거유 말루 냠레가 동바 거외유 다 거와 잠스탄들이 인사를 동바들이 루이스 마송 사고 냠량고 시네 냠스 용송송 거다 아 제치리 동바 거외 나다 동바니 레제 샤가 잠스 멤버다 소소지 냠스 용마데 데 냠레가 추아 데 동바데 냠 다고 냠스 용송 된 추아 바랑 이상도 그래 어떤 추아 연스타바 나를 줘 어떤 추아 참아 어떤 타송 스탠드 then Drupon
so he said that, and all like concepts of emptiness even have fallen apart. So not even a trace of such a concept is left. So, for example, we speak about emptiness and we say that this is how it is, and this is how emptiness is. So we should not be kind of get stuck in this thinking of like conceptualizing how it is, but actually put it into practice. So Milarepa said, having actually experienced this, I feel very happy. So when we experience it, then all confusion, all delusion will naturally become purified in the basic space. So such an experience is quite joyful.
that's the reason then go that Chakra Chimpo go that song that Yidam go that song or the con the Bonya to Lama use that Lama Lamati for Churan Kati Yoji Yapondo, see not to Donkan Lama use that Lamati for Kasanga to Don Bazanga Tabi, the long as 3 words stone. What the Chilu did, the Chavazumbo, Tebaji, and as long as my drag medals, Lokaji, and also Yapachi, the Marabi Lama Child of
Sangata pare lamade.
Kazangema Marima, Kazangema, Lamego, shoot the Donkan Lama use that is a lot of console. The Lama the Suri, the Kazangema, what the Kazan gold doing, Kazan gold to come again. The gold the doing. Lunga Tabi, Lunga Tabi, Singate, Zanga Tabi, they made a Kama Tabi, you did a Dorje, what in words at the don't. Shuran Lama Sarchimbo use at it, Shuran Canton shows a mass. She have the Kasama because at this time. Also, my drag medal, stay in. Also, Yapachi, Shuran 2 years, also Tama Narochi, not such no much means. What it is, Jima, Malarico, no much.
So then he also sang a song on Mahamudra and the Yidam deity and the Guru. The song about the Guru we mentioned the other day already. And so that's when they asked him before that you can move your mouth really, really well, but what's really behind there? Like, what do you have? Who is your guru? So that's when he sang that song that we mentioned the other day, like the winds are the lion's throne and so on. And so anyways, then after having sung all these songs, then the monks, the 3 monks, regretted for having had this wrong view in him, and they apologized and said that was wrong of us. They confessed and they asked for Milarepa's blessing and his compassion, and they then became his disciples, receiving his instructions.
That's new that then also the Yamnachi the Zondu disco, Zondu Chico, Zondu Chimbo, Kova, the Chemba Yumami by you can go. Zondu Chimbo, so the colors Chemba Mayan go for that Chemba Yandi Lunga, Kali Shu Yamnati, Shira, and Shosamari, saying this over the Chemba Mayan, Yamnagan, Kanto Shatom, that's Zondu Chimbo and Therese on one you can go. What are you doing also the that's also the Kanto as on Yamnachi go for it. So what in Yamnachi at a kitchen boy, these Sheba Zamdi Mari, Yamnachi, so the Ganget of our Sitovia, send days in Chima in Katsangi line, but the send the Yamna Yabochitum, then they drop about send the Dichi Holland Jones, similarly, or then to Holland New for the Tindu, as to count to the Yamnachi to out, and that's what you go for it. 단 잠벨링 가서 생산세 가사라지 강에 망보제 요래 소소제 나도 제 센터 소나al 드는 제 냠내 치토 어떤 치토만 가서 디스펜게와
So most important, mainly what we need in our practice is diligence, great diligence. And Thich Nhat said that means diligence means to possess undistracted mindfulness. So that's mainly really what diligence is. It doesn't really mean only to work really hard with body and speech. That alone will also be of no benefit. The mind also needs to be undistracted. So that's the actual diligence, is when the mind is in a state of practice and without distraction, undistracted mindfulness. It's very important that we try our best to practice with mindfulness. So it's not enough to just know about the practices. We have to really try our best to practice as much as we can. And that will be beneficial in this life and for our future lifetimes. Even in this lifetime, if you're able to practice well, you will achieve true happiness. As Miller Ripper had said, through practice, the worldly happiness just happens as a byproduct to the lasting true happiness. So just try your best, do your best to engage in practice. And especially nowadays where the world experiences so many difficulties, it's very good to really face inward into your mind and do your best to practice at such a time.
전에 당가서 롱금탕데 나 아콘나 도르젠데 바세제 요르와 티고르제 남 지견송고 도르젠데 바데 카르존도 전에 롱나한테 요바 옴레스 네바 아레스 친종와 옹 드루지게 좀 보대 곰고레스 옹안다와 마이스가 농고레야 요마레스 어떤 중국내선 이게 좀 레스 용와 요바 내선 이게 어떤 네바 이스 어떤 드루지나 샘네 특별레스 어떤 정도 어떤 가르잖아 warmte som sanje temti gukning boris te zongning boris hongte togning boris wat ige som bot nga tambi mandule yo maris wat nga ran so te namna chi dio ati kaje dojen de ba ya bo zendo te na dojen de ba te gom tamne ya bo yore wat indu wat te le me ka chi ya zendo yo wat te indu ta nga akhon te no dojen de ba wat te namna chi ya de yo今天总共这个嘛需下，当当年对他们其实你们来你表现的我去忙不送给你们来去给我，去给我。
And then there's also another way to practice with the winds, meditate with the winds. In the tantric vehicle of the secret mantra, it is called the Vajra recitation. The Hung Vajra recitation, and there's also an instruction by Jigten Sumgön, which also Garshan Rinpoche always shares with us. And so for that, you on the inhale, then at the exhale, you don't have to recite syllables. You don't say Om Hung. You're just thinking at the inhalation, thinking at the navel, and thinking home at the exhalation. That's also a way for the mind to come to the state. The Om represents the essence of all the times enlightened body. And the Am represents their enlightened speech, and the Hung represents their enlightened mind. And also, all mantras are included within the Om Hung Vajra recitation. So that's why a lot of people consider it to be a very good practice. So that is another excellent practice that you can use for your meditation according to the secret mantra path. So this way you're also practicing mantra. So anyways, this is a brief instruction by Jigten Sumgön that many are familiar with and probably always practicing too, because Garshan Rinpoche mentions it a lot.
전에 당가랑서 that's a Yamna Chia to contact on Besson that she goes, Besson this Magina, Rangi Kelegumari Aranso. What a Jeton, Aranso Leka Shimba, Lina be a Chumbo, your Jambo, your Kalasa Legigan. That's all Yamna, the Scully card. That is Naki Automo. That's the name Yamna to the Maltasani, in the Tamion, Sani, Zorno, the Tenu, that Galicana, Sani, Chin, the Zampachi. The Richie, Jizum Lezomana, Charter, Chu Sanja Nadia, Messi, Sani, Chu Sanja Nadia, Messi, Ramalaribe. Sani, Nani, Chizam did not, Messi, Sani, Bondo, Yomara. What in this day that and the other one was on those on. Chu the Sad Karma Semagos, Kadu, to the Jero Sas, Sakat Semagos, Kadu Sakat, Kadu Yamna, Tigant, Sigurs. Yeah, Bajun Bochik is Ungris, Kadu Changuna, Yamna Chigores, Mazak, some stages on the Tivira Padi, Korima, Sakati, Dagoya, Marizon Race. What in the one they quote it and count to Chico. That is what Papa John. Malari, Chucher Gavaji, Zona Bad, me by what the Chucher Gavaji, not Zona Bad me by your wrist, Zona Zakering. What is in that this is they don't want to go. Say that they met some things on the Mamma, like this, Yamnasia, the gun coach who don't chat. They got the month in the channel again, and then around to the people don't buy what it is count to the Yamnachi Toma. Yabo your race.
And in the practice, we have to make an effort, because if you don't make an effort, the practice won't just come on its own. You have to make an effort. And normally, it's not like we cannot do it. When we do other things that we're interested in, then we are often very sharp, and we're very clear, and they're very enthusiastic about the thing we're doing. But then when it comes to doing practice, and it starts to get a little bit uncomfortable, and it's too hard, and we don't really feel up to it. For example, you always find a reason. For example, today it's a little bit too cold to meditate, to practice. Tomorrow will be a better day. But then tomorrow actually never comes. And then you come up with another reason. And that's why Milarepa said, by putting it off until tomorrow, and again until tomorrow, your whole life comes to an end, because you can't meditate tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. As Thich Somgyal said, don't wait for the right time to practice. Don't kind of calculate the maybe astrology, the stars and the planets, the constellations. Whenever you remember it, whenever you can practice. That's also what Padu Rinpoche had said. I don't think about I'm going to do this retreat or practice.
In a Pachun.
Oh, sorry, not Pachun. Sorry, Pachun Rinpoche. So Pachun Rinpoche said, so whenever you think about it, practice. There's no need to count the stars or look for the constellations to find the right time to retreat or to practice. So you practice whenever you have time, whenever you can. And also Milarepa said, and when you endure hardships for the Dharma, that's actually an incredible and an immense great merit. And so we should therefore try to be a little bit less lazy, and make more effort in our practice. So normally we are a little bit lazy, and it's difficult for most people just to do anything, to feel motivated. But keeping this in mind, how important it is, that's really whenever you have some empty time, just whenever you can, just do your best at that time in practice.
Well, that's an exam. That this is hung on the Madafana, Gom, this is Japanese, the Gom Jaya, don't be Gomia, Gom, Dorje, Deba, the Gom, young the Momi class. That's a tea, what they will walk at the Ashit, some not on such a family.
So now we stop the teachings here, and like usual, we will practice a few minutes. We meditate for a few minutes, and so today you can meditate either on the image of the Buddha, or the Vajra recitation, or the Dumo visualization, where you visualize the Ashe below the navel. So it's up to you.
Đó là想那么对。
We stop here. So, over to
Rồi, mà tôi想对的。
we do dedication now. May Bodhicitta, the precious and supreme mind, arise in whom it has not yet arisen. Where it has arisen, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. May the teachings of the great Rikumba Ratnashri, Master of Interdependence, Omniscient Lord of Dharma, who has seen all knowable things, be upheld until the end of cyclic existence through study, practice, hearing, contemplation, and meditation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much, Drupon.
Thank you.
So can I have a quick announcement? So Sophia, you want to
Okay.
to have an announcement, or I can say?
Chapter.
Okay.
Chapter is chapter announcement.
Yes. Tomorrow
okay.
will be the last day of the series teaching, and after teaching tomorrow, we will have about 30 minutes or 1 hour questions and answers. So we are collecting some questions right now from Vietnamese Sangha, Spanish Sangha, English, and Chinese, and we will send to Ina and Drupon tomorrow morning. And after the teaching tomorrow, we will stay here to have a section of Q&A. Thank you so much, Drupon.
Yeah, thank you.
And then, yes, and for Vietnamese and another Sangha, if you want to have a donation and offering to Drupon and Center, you can go to Chicago Ratnashi Center. They have a PayPal donation there, so you can click and donate, and you can make the offering there. And for Vietnamese, so we will announce the way that in Vietnam can send offering to our team member, and then we will send to the centers. Dạ thưa, ở Việt Nam con xin được thông báo một chút bằng tiếng Việt là ngày mai là buổi học cuối cùng, thì sau cái buổi ngày mai chúng ta sẽ có cái thời vấn đáp khoảng 30 phút cho đến 1 tiếng, thì Drupon sẽ trả lời các vấn đáp, các câu hỏi của mọi người đã gửi vào, và chúng con đã tổng hợp và sẽ gửi đến Drupon trong ngày hôm nay. Ngoài ra thì nếu ai mà muốn cúng dường đến trung tâm thì xin hãy trực tiếp cúng dường lên trên trang web của trung tâm. Và nếu mà ai khó khăn trong việc mà gửi tiền ra đi đó, thì ở nước Mỹ thì có thể liên hệ với lại ban tổ chức là chị Alex Thúy Hằng hoặc là Christy. Ở Việt Nam thì xin gửi trực tiếp cho chị Huyền Đoàn. Đó là nơi duy nhất mà ban tổ chức của Bồ Đề Tâm sẽ nhận và gửi đến cho trung tâm. Yeah. Xin cảm ơn cả nhà rất nhiều. Thank you so much Drupon, Ina, and our translator Sophia, Rocco, and Tian Nhân. I will end the interpretation now.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Lama. Gracias, Lama.
Gracias.
Buenas noches, Lama.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Ina.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Gracias.
Thank you, Rinpoche.